As I articulated the issues of students at Makerere Institute of Social Research, I will be, I'll continue articulating the issues of particularly postgrad and doctoral students, because I'm supporting, for example, students who have sued Makerere because of misadministration of their fellowships, but also misadministration of their courses. Having said that, I want to talk about the tuition policy, which has been very troublesome, particularly in the last 5 years, under the vice chancellorship of Professor Barnabas Nawangwe and the predecessor, Professor Dumba Sentamu. The idea of exorbitantly increasing tuition, particularly for private students, must be contested, must be challenged. I think that student and parent or guardian participation in negotiating how tuition is increased is key. It's critical. It's critical to include the stakeholders, the parents, the guardians, the funders, but also the students themselves. And so one of the things that I've been part of a small body of activists who stand for student protesters at Makerere University, who support them, provide sureties for court cases where they have been arrested because of participating in demonstrations or protests or student riots at the university. I think, again, because the Constitution allows us, provides for us the right to peacefully demonstrate, that I support students who decide to express their grievance through demonstrations. I think that Makerere University is at the cutting edge of knowledge production in Uganda. Students, as well as scholars and lecturers and researchers, produce the vast body of knowledge in Uganda. However, academic freedom is not protected, right? We don't even know what academic freedom means. I'm one of the people who were incarcerated because of my writings. My research, for example, my research funds have been blocked. And so I want to say that when I get to Parliament, perhaps one of the things I'll be fighting for, in addition to freedom of expression, freedom of conscience, and freedom of thought, will be academic freedom, so that those of us who have inquiring minds can be protected to produce science, knowledge, and information as freely, but particularly those of us who want to enter terrains which are not ordinary. I study sexualities, I study homosexualities, I study queer sexualities, I study transgender and non-binary genders. My research was highly contested by a number of people at the university, and so I would understand if another student wanted to study something non-conventional, and I think that we must look into the laws that govern science, innovation, and technology, but also look at the UNCST, Uganda National Council for Science and Technology, and make sure that it is open to the ambit of knowledge creation that's out there, whether it's conventional or non-conventional. Students. What else would I say to students? I think that, right, so I believe that students, particularly university students, but also those in colleges and in institutions of higher learning, are the leaders in waiting for Uganda. It is important that we participate in all levels of leadership, in all levels of elective politics, whether as councillors or in our GRCs. And so I want, first of all, to invite students who are able to participate, whether at the university or college level or in national elective politics, to begin participating, because we are the leaders we're waiting for. Secondly, I want to call upon all students in Uganda to remind them that when we go to Parliament to legislate, we're not only legislating for our constituencies. For example, I won't only be representing students or Ugandans who are resident in Kampala, but all student issues. As a person who has been at Makerere after many years of graduating from there, I understand that the accommodation is wanting. I have had students report they have bed bugs. What happened to fumigation? We never had bed bugs at Makerere. I have heard that the sanitation is wanting, and particularly for women who have menstruation needs. We need water, we need sanitation, we need toilets. I know that there are a number of private students whose accommodation is away from the university campus. Perhaps what I can do as a member of parliament when I get there is to advocate for very specific reforms around education, institutional sanitation and hygiene. Security of girls at the university. A friend of mine was part of a protest and we had stories and allegations of rape. Over militarization of the university, particularly in response to student protests, must be condemned because the military is using undue force and violence. The conditions of students are not well known by members of parliament or by the nation at large. I don't know why, for example, we don't have student representatives in parliament. Perhaps what I can do is to lobby and to be an advocate and a link between the university system, taking the issues of students, particularly those who reside in Kampala district, to parliament. And so as a person who's going to be representing Kampala, which has a number of universities, what I can do is to begin studying the issues at hand for students, and I will include them in my manifesto.